Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center overlooking the Toms River, it's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin, 7:06, Thursday, November 17th, 49 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com, 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined by our financial guru, Sean Monohan. Sean Monohan offers securities and advisory services through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Morning, Jeremy. How you doing?
I am great. So, last time we talked, right?
Right.
We were ready for the Hillary Clinton regime.
Yeah,
It didn't work out that way.
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
It was I think I saw something in the paper. Was that on paper
So you were
too?
you were in the Dominican when this happened,
We
right?
we were. So I was not, which was probably good. 'Cause
Yeah.
I probably would have been locked in, and but no, I fell asleep early. We fell asleep early out there. We just were running around all day, and then the results were starting to come in, and then I woke up at 1 o'clock, and I was like, the first thing I saw was the market down, like 800 points,
Right?
And I was like, what's going on? Is there, and then I kind of stayed up from there and saw some of the.
Well, so that was the amazing thing. So I want to talk about that for a second because I think this is, if there ever was a perfect example of the finicky market and what you always talk about, the correction that happens soon thereafter when they settle in.
Right.
This was the perfect deal because when I woke up on Wednesday morning at 7 in the morning, the futures were down.
Because you weren't doing the show, you just got to sleep
I was.
in.
I
Okay.
was out too, but I woke up at 7 in the morning and futures were down 700 points.
Right.
And it would look like it was going to be the most epic fail for the stock market of any day ever.
Yeah.
And then by the time the market closed that day, it was up almost 300 points.
Right.
So what happened?
And it was up. It was up big
And
the day
it's up
before.
8 straight days
It was
now.
it was up huge the day before because it looked like Hillary was going to run away
Right.
with it. And those Monday and Tuesday were up big. And then, you know what? I think if you try to explain it, it's very difficult. The reason it stopped, though, was there was a circuit breaker. You couldn't lose that much, and they just stopped trading. They basically just stopped trading. And this was before the market opened. It was futures and so forth. But, yeah, if you're the guy that bought the futures at, you did okay in the last week.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I talk to folks, I try not to. I was thinking about this because, and I've got clients from all over the country, right? We lived in Chicago for years. I have clients in Virginia, Colorado, all over the place. They have different perspectives, different careers, and different views of the world. And I think that, half of them are horrified that Trump won, and half of them are elated. And it's probably maybe not quite 50-50, but it's not that far off. And but really, I think you can't look at an event, whether it's an election, an attack, a storm, and think that is going to redefine the stock market in this country or the economy in this country. It'll have impacts. There's no question, just the same way a storm does or a terrorist attack does. But my fundamental belief is that the stock market is based on the underlying earnings of companies, and if they are growing and they are strong, there will be a rising market. And but that was a freaky one, and it happens every once in a while. It happened a year ago in August, and every once in a while something spooks the market. But,
now speaking of that, Trump since the election. Just like any politician, and he's not a career politician, but he's learned how to be one pretty quickly.
He's the only president that's never been in political.
Never had elected office.
Zero.
Yeah.
And by the way, did you see Ben Carson's comment that he couldn't take
because he's not
experienced enough.
Yeah, he's not experienced enough, and he's not equipped to do that. But listen, kudos to him. He's no idiot, right? The guy will make a killing.
Which one, Carson or Trump?
Ben Carson's a smart man.
No, he's very smart.
Because he's gonna have keys to the White House anyway. Right, whenever he wants to come and have dinner or come talk, or and that the president he's still going to have Trump's ear, right? Meanwhile, he's going to get to go around and speak wherever he wants to speak, pick up $100,000 for each speaking arrangement, right? Engagement, live the life, do his thing. What does he need? What does he need the agita of something like that?
Well, you could unwind that and say, why did anybody want that?
Well,
right?
I know, but he
honestly, why would Trump want
because
it? If you could fly around in your jet,
because
Jeremy,
Trump is an egomaniac. I don't think Ben Carson ultimately is a megalomaniac. That's the difference.
Right.
I think he's got a huge ego.
He does. You have to. You know what? By the way, if you're spending 24 hours separating Siamese twins by the brain, you better have a high degree of confidence.
Right. You better feel good.
You know what I mean? That guy, he's no lightweight, and I give him that.
But here's the bigger question for you. So Trump has now backed off on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Not somewhat. Now it's going to be a very imposing fence. It's chain. I just picture this little chain link fence that you can hop over when you're
right.
That just keeps your tiny little dog in the yard.
Trump fence? It's going to be the Trump fence.
Yeah,
most beautiful fence we've ever seen, probably.
It's going to be the most amazing fence you've ever seen.
So there's no fence.
No fence.
Hillary's not going to jail.
We're only going to send 2 million people back.
If we can figure it out.
Yeah, if we could separate them. Hillary, we're probably not going to prosecute her. Obamacare, well, we're not going to completely repeal it, right? We're going to fix it.
Correct.
Here's the big one, though, that has to do with your world and the financial world. AT&T.
Okay.
Right? AT&T, Time Warner. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the biggest mergers
of all
ever.
time.
Right. And Donald Trump before the election said, I will veto that. I will block that. I will not allow that to happen. What's your feeling? I'm not looking obviously for specifics on that deal, but why is it in anyone's best interest for that to be blocked?
I don't really you know what I mean, I don't know. I mean I think all these companies are so big, right? I mean all these providers, there's literally now only handfuls of them, right? So there is no real competition. It's very regional and very limited, I think. Whether it's cable or cell phones or anything else, there's very limited information. I don't know why he would block it. And I don't know that he will. I don't think – look, he also said the stock market is in one big fat bubble, and when the Fed starts raising rates, watch out. Right. Is what he also very clearly said a number of times. And I don't know that that's true either, right? I don't know if that gets – I don't know what the regulatory impact of this guy being president will be. There's a lot of things in our business, and the Department of Labor issued a whole set of standards on a fiduciary rule – in our business that impacts literally every single advisor in this country, and people are like, "Well, is he going to roll that back?" But it goes into for us, it goes into effect in April, right? So there's almost no chance. So
and that's what I think. I don't think ultimately he's gonna. I don't think he's ultimately going to do anything about the AT&T thing as an example for me is it's a vertical merger, right? We're talking about content and hardware. Right, merging. We're not talking about content and content merging or hardware and hardware merging. In those cases, you create these big, these behemoth companies that eliminates competition and rolls over everyone and ultimately results in higher pricing for consumers and no protection. In this case, you're talking about a huge hardware type, company absorbing content so that they can provide more content on their hardware. So I don't see necessarily I don't see the I don't.
Why did he say that he would block it?
Because at the time, it was convenient to say that because he was telling consumers that he's out for them. That I am out for you, middle America, to save you from having your prices raised.
I think that there's a lot of that if you voted on certain issues or stances like that, you just listed off a handful. You might regret your vote. But you don't know. You really don't know, and you don't know. I mean, I would think it's probably pretty reasonable. He comes back and says, "Well, we took a look at it.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's fine.
It's all right. We're going to go with it."
But there's a lot of things the regulatory and the use of the pen will be interesting to me. A lot of the regulations that Obama has put through have been executive order type or department order type changes. So there hasn't been a lot of legislative because it's been split for 6 years. So he's got 2 years here where he has both. I think what will happen is that any reasonable person could say that these guys might get some tax cuts through. I think there'll be some tax cuts through. I think most of them goes top end in corporations, and that should be something that they come to agreement pretty quick. And then there'll be a I think some stimulus spending here. I think that there's a lot of this appetite for infrastructure, and I think most reasonable people could support that. But it'll be interesting to see how Paul Ryan and these guys tweak it, what they come up with, what can you really not add to it's very difficult to add a lot of spending and cut a lot of taxes and have it deficit neutral. So if you're a deficit guy, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but maybe not. Maybe you just want to grow the economy and have safe bridges.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, I want you to explain to me. We talked early this morning about Snapchat.
Yep.
But I want you to kind of help me understand the IPO process and what it means, and how you would advise someone in general about an IPO.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds
Our
good.
financial guru, Sean Monahan. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are just I was just educating our financial guru, Sean Monahan. He is our financial guru, but he is not our social media guru. Zach and I were dropping some knowledge on him about Snapchat and the beauty of it and why it's fantastic or not.
I guess.
But we were talking about in the news. We're looking at.
But what I did bring up was I heard about Snapchat yesterday for legitimate investigative reasons on highway crashes.
Oh
right?
Yeah, because
I heard about it. I heard of it. It wasn't like I was just like, oh, what's Snapchat?
No.
But I had heard because the New York Times had an article yesterday about all these the first time in I think 50 or 60 years there's an increase in highway deaths, and it's distracted driving. And and Snapchat has a feature on it that it tracks how fast you're driving while you're filming yourself. I mean, it's to me, I don't know. Somebody will explain.
Well,
the
but
logic
I think that actually makes it easier because otherwise
it easier when you crash in the back of a car going 110
otherwise you would
miles.
have to look at your speed gauge on your car and your Snapchat. And isn't it easier just to look one place?
I think there'll be a point in our future and then we'll look back and say, do you remember when they used to let you use the phone in the car? That didn't automatically shut off. I mean, that's got to go.
Well, why does that? Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they?
There's lobbyists. I think a lot of these firms don't want it to happen, which is absolutely insane.
Although, how do you do that? I guess my issue is even like something like Waze, right? You use Waze, right? Or have you used that for
I use
MapQuest,
Waze
right?
too,
So you use Waze. And you're putting in
but
an
I still
address.
own an Atlas. I still pulled an Atlas out of my car and showed my kid the other day.
I see you walk in here with your newspaper. when you put in an address, if you're driving while you're doing it, it says, "Oops, you're driving."
Right. Then you said no.
But you just click passenger.
That's actually one of the big things that because they also had an article a couple months ago about why they haven't updated some of this stuff, and it's because passengers would be impeded from using their phones and their apps and the newspaper and whatever else they're looking at on their phone or Snapchat to put heads on people or whatever they do. So it's the passengers that they've basically said, this is one of the unintended consequences of just. Because they have the technology to just turn off all phones in cars.
Right.
It's available. They can do it. And I bet one day they do. But
they will.
It'll
They'll
probably
figure
take a couple, hopefully not a couple decades of people
So
Snapchatting and going 110 miles an hour.
So Snapchat notwithstanding, explain to me the IPO process, right? Because I don't need to. We're not talking Snapchat specifically in that IPO,
Right.
but what happens here?
Okay, so basically, if you and I started a company, right?
Okay.
Say we,
What do you want to do?
I don't know, maybe put unicorns on heads and
That would
switch
be
them,
cool.
or take pictures,
Yeah.
or
We can
add
give
stories.
everybody a unicorn head.
What was
Okay.
all the nonsense you just told me? This
Oh,
this
you
app
can switch
do?
faces on Snap. You can take pictures of two people and swwitch their face.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say we did another version of that. We
Yeah.
started a company. Me and you started it. We're in our garage, just like Apple,
Yeah.
like any of these companies.
Yeah.
You have an idea, you have a product, you have a service, whatever it
Gotcha.
is. You own the company. You and I own the company. We basically take home either a salary or the earnings from that company, and we decide that we want to sell this company or sell part of it. And oftentimes, we can basically do what's called an IPO, an initial public offering, which will allow us to bring to market that company and divide it and say, okay, here's what it's worth. We're going to divide it into this many shares and literally auction it off. And
Right.
that's essentially what happens. It's probably a pretty simplified version.
And that allows me to have an infusion of capital.
Right.
Because now I have all this cash
Right.
Right. That I can reinvest into the business and grow.
Right. And oftentimes you just sell off part of it. If you sold off 49, you still run the company.
Right.
You know, and what happens in Silicon Valley, there's these private equity investing funds that go out and and look for these guys in the office parks and the garages, and they basically say, okay, we're going to help you start this company. We're going to help you grow this company. When you get to a certain point, we're going to help you take it public. And like you indicated, if you're a private equity firm and you do it 1 out of 50 times, you probably make $1 zillion.
But it doesn't. But not every company ends up going public because they don't want to lose any control.
Correct.
And there's also all kinds of different things that they have to do. When you have to
got to be a certain size to do it.
And when you have to report to stockholders and shareholders, is a little different than just having you and me running the business say, to hell with everyone else. Right. This is what we think is right.
That's a big part of it.
So it changes it.
By that, just so you clarify, all your earnings are disclosed quarterly.
Yeah.
All your major changes in the business are disclosed quarterly. There's a lot of reporting requirements to be what's called a public company.
What I want to talk about when we get back, because we're up against the break.
Okay.
When we get back, I want to talk, though, about what makes it a good time for an IPO versus a bad time. Because we've been in a slower period of IPOs.
Right.
We went through a boom where every day there was something.
Right.
But now we've kind of hit
with a dream and idea.
It's much slower now, and I'd like you to explain to me why and what that means.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Our financial guru, Sean Monahan. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Listen to the Hometown View with Kevin Williams, whose shirt I don't really like today, but Zach does. And then the news, and then we'll be back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Hang out.
Coming up next, the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from Town Square Towers, at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:35 Thursday, November 17th, 49 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160, 1310 News Talk Radio. Stream live on the radio pop app at WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We have in studio with us right now our financial guru, Sean Monahan. So, Sean, we were talking about IPOs, and, we were talking about that,
appetite.
The climate has changed, right? That there was a period where every IPO was like setting a record for how much, for a stock offering. And then it kind of bottomed out. And, now it looks like we're starting again. So talk to me about that.
Right. So, in the beginning part of the century, if you will, in 2000, 2001, you had the tech bubble there where you had anybody that had a laptop could come up with an idea to sell dog food over the internet, whatever it was. And there was an appetite and a mania for bringing these companies public. And for a while, everybody made a lot of money, but the underlying assets, what was becoming a public stock, oftentimes did not make money. And the idea was, well, we're not making money now, but once we get this thing going, we're going to make money. And that model was not sustainable, right? And there was a lot of crazy talk. People thought you weren't going to have. I mean, and it's played out that way, right? Malls are struggling in this country.
Yeah.
The bricks and mortar are struggling. The Amazons have had an impact, but I still read a newspaper, and I still like to go to stores too. But everybody thought there's not going to be a need to go to the store, and there was a huge appetite. Pendulum swings. Right, then there's like very limited appetite, and really you hear about these things every once in a while now. Last huge one was really Facebook in the last several years, and there was the same sort of dialogue, and I was always concerned about that because at one point, that was valued as more than Exxon. You know what I mean? And to me, I was like, this company's been around like 6 years, and they have but I think I look at the Snapchat stuff and I don't really get it either. But
yeah, technology is always a difficult sector to deal with because it's so rapidly changing.
I feel it's amazing how much of a dinosaur I do feel when I listen to stuff like this. But the idea is that a lot of what if I was bringing a company public, you got to gauge the appetite of the American public, and the American public is also gauging your company. And there's a lot of these things. This article here, like you pointed out, mentions these like things that are Uber and Airbnb, this shadow economy. I mean, it's out there, it's happening. It's I mean, Uber to me is one of the more amazing things. It's shifted since I've lived here. When I was like, what? It's going to cost me $25 to go from my house to the Water Street bar down here, like. Because there's 4 cab companies, but it's all this different phone number for the same guy.
Right.
And
well, now it's not. You don't
now
have to
it's not. Now I just Uber it. I put it on my phone. It's great. I can, I think it's, And
to your point about appetite, I think that as an example, Snapchat, probably the timing because the whole Facebook thing is kind of fresh in people's minds, right? Where they were able to monetize an incredible subscriber base. Right, because the big thing was Mark Zuckerberg. What are you doing? You got all these people, right? But you don't charge them anything. It's free. So what's
how does
the point?
Snapchat make its money?
It's the same thing. There's advertising. There are features.
So if you Snapchat me the videos of a unicorn on top of your body,
I'll tell you, when I go into stories, right? There are stories of all my friends that I can check. But also,
what are these stories? Are they just like, hey, we're at a diner, I'm having grilled cheese?
A story is all the pictures I've taken in the last 24 hours. It's added to my story, and you can see them rapid fire. So you can watch them all at once, so you can be caught up to speed in my whole last 24 hours.
So I look at all the stories of all my friends and see their pictures of their egg omelets and everything else.
There are also stories from like different magazines or things. There's links to different. Now that like a People magazine,
like the
for
same
example,
stuff you see on Facebook, where it says, "Look at these 25 celebrities have lost 150 pounds." Those things,
that kind of thing. But it's done.
How does that make money?
It's done in a little different way because it's appealing to a younger buyer base.
Okay,
right, and so they do it a little differently, and it's a little more hip and it's a little more cool. It makes money because everybody is looking to figure out where to put their content that people will watch it. Right? I mean, where do you go? If you and I were in our garage with that new business that we have, right? Where do we go to advertise it? Where do we go to sell it? It's not like it used to be in the old days. In the old days, you put something in the newspaper and people came in because they read the newspaper and saw your ad. People don't, except for you. People don't read newspapers, and my dad. People don't read newspapers anymore, right?
By the way, I think it might be a good thing if we went back to that.
Well,
let's pull out the atlas. Let's get the newspaper
Monohan
out.
for president 2020. Sean, why don't you tell folks, do you have your card out?
I got to get my card out. 609-693-3800.
Come on, get the card out. I know, but it's, we got it Sean spelled the right way. Come on, we got to do this shit.
I always get nervous with that.
I know.
Because it's a 609 number.
I know, but you'll be fine now. Okay.
609-693-3800.
Sean, why don't you tell people where they can reach you, how they can get in touch?
You can reach me at 609-693-3800. And you can always email me at Sean, SEAN, at FINALT. We're up on the corner, Indian Hill and Hooper on the 3rd floor. If you want questions, concerns,
right?
You want to bounce something off me, or certainly there's a lot of people calling this week about these elections and what the impacts will be and what they won't be.
Right.
So it's a good time to be talking to people. And as the market's hovering at its all-time high, this is a great time to be looking at things and saying, am I correctly allocated? Is this how I should be allocated, regardless of the outcome of the election? Just as a person, this is a great time. You want to fix the roof when the sun's shining.
Right. So if you're out there and you're looking for a financial guy who reads the newspapers, has no idea about what Snapchat is, and all around, is a good dresser though. I will tell you.
Do you want an advisor that's sitting around sharing unicorn pictures and checking how fast he's driving?
Not.
You want somebody that's reading the newspaper, right?
Come on. Listen, Sean, I am picking up what you're putting down. Our financial guru, Sean Monohan, thanks for spending some time with us this morning.
It's good to be here, buddy.
More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin after this.